Yeah, well, welcome to you all. In this session that we are going to see about graphical user interface programming in Python. Earlier in 4 units we have studied about the Python concepts, Python fundamentals and data structures like. Uh, According to this unit 5, we are going to learn something about the graphical user interface programming where you can able to create some graphical user interface, that is screens designs like. Okay, the unit 5 topic is graphical user interface programming, where you are going to study about event driven programming. By using this tool Tkinter introduction. It's a package. Tkinter is a package in Python which is used for graphical user interface programming in Python. Okay, and all the fundamentals about the Tkinter introduction and the programming methods. There are two things that we are going to study about the widgets and the methods. There are three methods that we are going to study in both the Tkinter introduction, and then we are going to study about the callback functions in Tkinter. Next to that, we are going to study about the user interface, user input based GUI design, and some case studies that we are going to discuss in later sessions of the unit 5. And in those case studies we are going to create such graphical user interfaces and programming for some games like moving the ball, adding the randomness. Okay, and making the ball to move on the keyboard event, like we are going to do some checking for collisions of each balls and keep updating the scores. All those things are studied as a case study that we are going to create on what we can say the game by using the Tkinter programming. Okay, this is all about your unit 5 introduction that we are going to study in our next sessions. Okay, that next we are going to study about the event driven programming. You must understand what is event driven programming first, so that it will be easy to do the code when you are performing the programming. Okay, so event driven programming is just nothing that you can look at the diagram first, the flow chart, you can understand easily. In previous programming language that we have studied is C, C++, and Java, whatever it may be a sequential program execution, or it may be follow the parallel program execution. Those that we have studied in our previous programming language. Okay, but according to the event-driven programming, yes, of course, the event-driven programming is available in previous versions of languages also. For example, in Java and .NET, there are event-driven programming by using such a concepts like servlets and all this. Okay, you can able to control DOM events like in Java. Like in Python, you can able to control the event-driven programming. This is little different than the sequential programming. Like you in your programming, you first declare all those variables and constant, that whatever the things you needed, based on that your execution will begins and it will return the output. This is a sequence that collecting the input and executing and processing the input whatever that we have collected. Based on that input, that user's expectation will be fulfilled by the giving some output according to their definition. Okay, this is what the sequential program execution, like it may be executed in parallel way, so that it may be called as a parallel program execution. Here what we are going to study is event driven programming. In event driven programming, while your program is getting started, you have to initialize the things like variables, constant, and what are the things that you are need for your programming. You have to initialize all those things. Later in execution part, it has some different things. What are the things is existing is wait for the incoming events. That must be an event which may be declared in your program. Based on that event, the program will respond. Okay, once if your event has been declared, that it the program will decode the event and updating the instance status. Okay, so what is the event, what is performance, what the event should perform in your programming, and all those things have been defined in the event, which all the things are decoded, and it will find what is the execution of program will do. Like it will understand. Based on that, the handler part of code will do the work. Okay, so everything is mentioned in this event programming, and the handler contain the response for those declared events. Okay, So here the handler code will respond according to the event which I have defined in our previous step. Okay, after that, until your program crashes or your event has done, so it will repeat it, it will repeat it to the same state. It will go for the another event. Okay, if your event is completed, or otherwise if your system has crashed, it will lead to the stop state. Okay, this is what called the event driven programming. It is little different than normal your normal sequential program execution. Like you have seen the theory now, event driven programming focuses on events. So it waits for the event. When the event has come, it will decode the event. Okay, eventually the flow of program is depends on events. Okay, it is based on the event, it focuses on the event. When event has comes, okay, the program execution is depends on that particular event. Until now we are dealing with either sequential or parallel execution, right? That we have discussed earlier. According to our previous programming languages, sequence or parallel language models. Okay, here event driven programming is little different, which is called a synchronous model. It is not a synchronous model, it is a synchronous model. Okay, event driven programming depends upon the event that is always listening to all new incoming events here that I have mentioned, right? So once the event has completed, it will wait for the another event. If there is no events occur, the system is getting crashed, so that the program will getting stopped. Okay, the working of event driven programming is dependent upon the events. Completely it will depend upon the events. So once the event loop has entered, then it will event will decide execute what is in the order. Okay, so once the event loop is begins, there are several events in the programming. Once the which all the things are enter into put into that loop. When the event loop has entered, okay, it will decide according to according to the order, or according to the event in which order it has to getting executed. It will decide based on that. This is called the event driven programming. Okay, and here Python provide different packages for event driven programming, graphical user interface programming. Most importantly, we have listed something here. So the first we are going to study about the tinkers. That's why I have mentioned this in the first thing. Okay, tinker is Python interface that the tinker GUI toolkit shipped with the Python, so that we can just install the Python package tinker. Based on that, we will get all the functions and methods of tinker in our Python programming. We can able to use it, and we can develop the GUI programming based on the Tkinter. Similar to Tkinter, WX Python and JPython are the two other packages which also both are open source. Yeah, both are open source. So everything is open source. I have mentioned the link also here for the JPython and WX Python. You can download. You can download and install it in your Python interpreter, so that it can be accessible. All the methods and um, all the methods and functions are function and widgets. Okay, widgets are available within this packages, so that once if you are installed all those packages, you can able to use the uh, widgets and the package functions. Okay, so that you can easily create the GUI screen based on your programming structures. Okay, so in our next session that we are going to see about the Tkinter programming, and what is the thing are existing in our Tkinter programming. So thank you.